And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
You know, I'll agree with you there. I think that Colin Firth in action, I'd like to see more of that. He did it well. What?
I'd like to see his action a little bit more.
Are you going to slice together in the opener me saying that and me saying it's huge in reference to the China viewership ratings?
Good evening and welcome to Is It a Bicycle? Season 8, Episode 8, the original and bestest ever TV and movie podcast. My name is Stephen Wrigley and I'll be your host for this evening. Beside me I have a man who this week said, ever get out of the shower and not remember getting a towel ready, but it's there anyway? You're welcome. It's Mike, the McDonough. Also beside me is a lady who says, if you lower your expectations, I will totally amaze you. It's Shona, I love Canada, O'Flaherty. Live from Vegas, we have a man who's not the kind of person you ever put on speakerphone. It's Sean, I love Cans, Leonard. And in the red corner, it's our cuddly killer, a man who says his 2-year-old nephew, though adorable, is a pretty violent drunk. It's Mark, superhero, Leonard. This week we hope to discuss some movies in the shape of Point and Shoot and Kingsman, and some TV in the form of TheSlap. We'll also have some news and some previews, and coming to a bicycle near you. How is everyone? How has your week been?
Fantastic.
Hi, guys.
Open to the floor. Anyone been doing anything interesting, Mark?
Mark.
Well, I'm just back from what do they call it? Stepping the boards or something like that?
Walking the board.
Broadway.
Walking the boards. Yeah, so I was on stage last week, which is why I wasn't on the podcast, obviously. We were doing Little Shop of Horrors in the Letterkenny Musical Society, because I used to be kind of a big deal. For a very brief period in 2014, they decided to give me a tiny role to give me something to do in this one. So I played Bernstein, who is typically played by the dentist after he gets eaten. The director noticed in our first couple of takes that I was much bigger than Seymour, both in width and in height. So I said, wouldn't it be funny if you were gay? I said, possibly.
What do you mean?
And he said, yeah, let's have a look. Let's see what it looks like.
You mean like camp?
And then I did it.
Camp.
And I went, you hate it, right? And he went, no, Mark, I love it. I managed to transform myself into a flaming homo. I've been playing pretty well to both hetero and homosexuals, it turns out.
Very good.
There was a couple of gay friends of mine in last week, and they thought that I was very passable. Slightly over the top.
So you do camp well.
So,
that's good to know.
Yeah. So, come here, Mark.
Apparently, my camp is like a queen having their birthday.
Yay!
So, Mark, do you
Not
find
the queen, a queen.
Do you find it more stressful being on stage or when you're in the police lineup? Or
No, but it was good. It was fun. Like, it was fun because there was a small part like that. There's not a lot of pressure because you're on stage for so little time. You know, if you mess up, who really cares? So I got a lot more of a chance to just to ad-lib stuff, just to kind of to feel it. So it kind of, the performance changed a lot more every night, and I was able to enjoy it a lot more. I think I enjoyed it probably the most out of my 3 years, my vast experience of 3 shows. I think I probably enjoyed this one the most.
Sounds good.
So it was good.
Well done.
My niece was in on Thursday night to have a look.
Oh yeah?
One slight addendum. She really enjoyed it. I brought her backstage beforehand so she could see the plant and the different stages the plant grows, and I showed her the slide where people who get eaten get to slide down, because I wanted to make sure there was no chance she was going to get scared. And I had hoped to get her to meet the voice of the plant so she could see that he was a really nice guy, but he wasn't in at that stage, so that didn't happen. But the guys who operated the plant were more than happy to show her the fly trap mouth opening and closing, so that was fun. So she loved it. She absolutely loved it. She was laughing the whole way through. She's a bit confused by my character, much like my character. She then went to school the following day, and when asked to talk about their week, she told her classmates about how her daddy brought her to the theatre, and her Uncle Mark came out and he was wearing lipstick. And then he was acting like a girl, which they all thought was hilarious. So she enjoyed it.
Very good. I take it you didn't get too many TV shows or movies this week then?
What have I been watching? I've been watching Better Call Saul.
Oh yeah,
which I like. It's gone into my list. I'm a bit worried that they're recreating a lot of the shots from Breaking Bad.
it's not dissimilar.
Like it does it. So like this show doesn't need Breaking Bad, I don't think. I think it's a perfectly good show. It helps to have the depth of knowing where he winds up and some things that are, some tangents that are going to be in his path. But you don't need it, I don't think. Better Call Saul is a really good show on its own. And then it's just like when they're in the desert, I'm a couple episodes in now. I don't know where everybody is. I'm not going to spoil anything. But when they're in the desert, I was going, man, I have seen that exact shot before. They were in suburbia. And I was going, man, I have seen that exact shot before. So I don't know if that was happenstance, which I doubt, or on purpose, which I suspect. But they don't need it, So good show. Better Call Saul.
Okay, so what else do we see this week, Mike? Come on, something evil.
Do I have to say? I got to Exorcismus.
Oh, jeez. What's that?
Which is a 2010 British horror, currently showing on the Horror Channel. It's, strangely enough, about a girl who needs an exorcism. And
At Christmas?
no, not Christmas this time. But,
Sorry, you called it Christmas, didn't you?
Exorcismus.
Oh, okay. That's
what
not
it's
about
called.
Christmas.
No,
Okay.
no.
You know what? They missed the trick there.
Yeah.
They really could have, couldn't they?
Maybe that's the sequel.
I thought it was like Santa's possessed.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
But it's really handy because this girl has an uncle who's a priest. So
Oh, that's
she's
handy,
been,
yeah.
She's been waiting
Yep.
for ages for, some people have handy uncles that can fix your car and stuff. But this one can cast out Satan and shit,
Wow.
which is kind of handy. But one point of interest is the girl who plays the lead
Yeah.
is one Sophie Vavasseur, and she was born in Dublin.
Okay.
And it struck me as strange that somebody who's in the movies hasn't been kind of totally, spread all over our media and stuff. Because the way,
Yeah.
we'll claim anybody whose
Grandmother was
great-grandfather
Irish.
had
Yeah, yeah.
stuffed for a piss in Ireland, we're going to claim you.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in...
Is it Boy Eats Girl?
No. The Resident Evil.
There you go.
Yeah, she was in one of the Resident Evils.
She was in it, okay.
Yeah. But she's a good actress. She kind of does, the pouty teen thing, which everybody does. But when she's evil, she's got real good psycho eyes.
But she's bad.
Yeah, I'd say if they ever do a reboot of that Glenn Close one with the body boiler thing,
Yeah.
she'd be right in there. Yeah,
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction. Thank you, Mark.
Very good.
Seems to be my job tonight, Mike.
I missed you, Mark.
I got to Rosewater. You mentioned this last week, Sean.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart's directorial debut.
Yes, indeed. And that's based on the New York Times best-selling memoir, Then They Came For Me, A Family's Story of Love, Captivity and Survival, which is written by Maziar Bahari. This stars Gail Garcia Bernal
Yeah, I love him.
and Kim Bodnia as the interrogator. So it's pretty much he goes home to Tehran he's working for Newsweek, and he goes home to visit Tehran, and he just happens to be there where there's a bit of an uprising in 2007, 2009.
A bit of an uprising.
Oh yeah, there certainly was a big one.
Small ruckus.
Yeah. He's gone over to interview Mir Hossein Mousavi, who's the prime challenger of President. You're going to have to help me with this. Mahmoud
Ahmadinejad.
Yeah, thank you. So Mousavi's supporters rose up to protest against the victory, and so that's what the big hoo-ha was about. And so he recorded some of this footage and sent it back to the BBC, which was shown, and he was arrested and interrogated for 118 days.
Jesus.
Yeah. In the meantime, there was a huge campaign kicked off to try and get him out of there, led by his wife, who's pregnant at the time. So, anyway, it's very interesting. It's almost about what captivity and isolation does to the human mind. Rather than here he is taking a beating again. Okay. Because they don't actually, there isn't so much physical as mental abuse, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But yeah, it's really good, and I'd recommend it. Yeah.
Jeez. By contrast, I saw Whiplash.
I was just going to say, did you see Whiplash? Tell us. Yeah,
Different form of torture.
Well, I know that you guys
saw it.
I did. I know that you guys saw it a few weeks ago, and I wasn't here that week, so I wanted to make sure I saw it before the Oscars. So I saw it Saturday night, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. And I heard people had said, and I'm not going to say anything about it, but people had said they thought it was a perfect ending, and I also enjoyed it. So we don't need to go into detail because I know that you've already at length discussed your opinions, which I listened to, by the way, but only after I had seen the movie because I wanted to wait so I could relish with you.
Who did you agree with most?
Not me, obviously. Yeah.
Mike and I come so close so often to having the same opinion, but in this particular regard, we diverge. I thought it was really good, and I thought that the acting was good as well. I did find that the relationship that was portrayed, I found that difficult to watch and understand, but I think that's obviously what the movie's trying to portray. So it was really kind of fun, but also intense movie, and I enjoyed the music, so I'm looking forward to making family members watch this movie as well.
You thought it was worthy of a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nod?
I don't. I find it really weird giving awards to people on all these different kinds of movies that suit all these different purposes, and how you kind of line them up and rank them against each other. I wouldn't know how to do it, but I don't know. I couldn't answer that, Mike.
Okay. What would you give it?
I think I would give it an 8.
Would you?
I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Good stuff. I saw a new series called The Book of Negroes, which has just started, and it is pretty much about slavery, or the roots of and the journey of one particular lady, from her home village to the US, from being captured by slavers and sold on and so on. That's pretty much what episode 1 was about. But it's pretty good. If you're
Sounds intense.
It is intense, and if you're not up in your history, it's certainly worth a look.
So that you can learn history.
Yes, exactly. It's
that's
more.
a look
I wouldn't
for
watch
it,
it. I wouldn't watch it for entertainment. I can tell you that. Watch it for educational purposes only. Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
It's not entertaining. You know, it's pretty horrifying.
You can probably take it off my list.
Yeah.
I would guess.
Yeah. So that's it. So let's go and talk about some news.
As mentioned on this very podcast, the Oscars happened this week. I know me and Shona sat down ourselves and watched the whole shebang. I'm not sure about the rest of you, but Neil Patrick Harris hosted. I thought he did a great job. Shona, what do you think?
See, I also thought he did a good job, but I know that he's gotten a bit of a slagging. But I really like the opening number, and I think, you know, for what the job is, good job.
I mean, the job is keep the show moving,
Yeah.
make one actually funny joke
Yeah.
for every time you have
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah. See, the Oscars
You know what
are
I mean?
much more formal than the other awards show, so expecting them to be Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, and the Golden Globes, I mean, that's not really how the Oscars work. It's a long haul.
It's a bit more Puritan, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, I think people have to kind of adjust their expectations. Now, that being said, I didn't watch the 4.5 hour version because we don't have it in Ireland. I watched, Ireland RTE's kind of cropped 1.5 hour version. So it cut out a lot of his hosting. But, from what I saw, I think he did a good job.
I watched the whole shebang, and what I appreciated was that he wasn't pulling punches at any point.
Yeah.
Like his absolute first joke was about how white the Oscars were that year.
Yeah.
Like, that was his first line. And not being able, if he hadn't commented on a large number of things, then it would have lost something. He even had a joke about, you know the movie Annie?
Yeah.
The film Annie? Yeah. He had a great joke where he got another guy to finish the punchline, where he literally just went, that's the last time they're ever going to remake that movie, right? And then everyone just kind of went, ooh. And he just went, what? It's funny. He's got a British accent, so I'm allowed to make that joke. It's fine. Anyway, so I thought it went quite well. The internet's kind of split over it. Inexplicably, they think that Ellen did a good job last year.
No.
But the thing that might be important to note is that it drew 36.6 million total viewers, according to ABC, which sounds like a lot of people. However, it's the lowest total since 2009, which had the same amount. And last year's broadcast had 43.74 million, which was a 10-year high. Wow. I know. So I got to thinking, that's a lot of people. That's pretty cool. And obviously we talk about TV shows that a lot of people watch. And I was informed by a wonderful segment on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver that there are other things that are watched more. In fact, one of them happened the same week as the Oscars. You guys know Chinese New Year just happened?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Chinese New Year just happened, and
Happy
CCTV,
New Year. Welcome to the year of the goat sheep.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to the year of the goat sheep. And They have a spring festival celebration for the Lunar New Year in China, which many people outside of China regard as propaganda of basically going, oh no, like we let people have freedom and artistic expression all the time. But it's a gigantic family affair that more than 90% of Chinese families watch. More than 90%.
Wow. That's huge.
Which brings its viewing figures to around 700 million people. So 1 in 10 people in the world have seen that show.
Wow.
I always think that using China's population is cheating somehow.
I mean, but if any other country had a show that 90% of people watched, you'd probably want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, like it'd be.
But if Ireland was bigger, the All-Ireland would be up there.
You think 90% of people in Ireland watch the All-Ireland?
90% of people who like football do.
So about 50% of people in Ireland have some acquaintanceship with the All-Ireland.
You're a bit too easy to wind up tonight, Sean, I think.
Well, maybe I just started going, I don't watch the All-Ireland. What are you trying to say?
I think so.
But in other news from the week, we had 2 shows have their series finales. Both 2.5 Men and Parks and Recreations had their final bow. And I didn't actually get to watch 2.5 Men's 2-part finale. However, one of my wonderful time-wasting things I did this week was read reviews about this episode, because there's a lot of them. It was a 2-parter, and the entire plot revolved around Charlie Sheen. Not his character Charlie Harper, but around Charlie Sheen. And remember in 2011 when he freaked out a bunch and got fired / quit? Yeah, they decided that instead of making a finale that would be, you know, a commemoration of everything that happened in the show's storylines and history, instead it made fun of Charlie Sheen, the human being, for 40 or so minutes.
Jesus.
To the degree where multiple times the show broke the fourth wall, and also had like meta jokes along the line. They had an animated sequence showing Charlie's character cheating on the person that he married in the show. And then they had live action stuff, not with Charlie there. He wasn't in the episode. But he was essentially written as having spent the past 4 years in a well while his stalker kept him alive for kisses. Which is pretty creepy, and a reference to Silence of the Lambs was made as well. So in the end, right, everyone was been watching the episode to hope that Charlie Sheen's going to show up. So it ends with Charlie's character escaping the well, we still haven't seen him, and he runs up to the door of the house, and he's going to get his revenge on everyone inside, Ashton Kutcher, John Cryer, like everybody. And then, before he can turn around and we can see his face, a piano falls on him. And then, the camera pans back, and in a director's chair is the creator of the show, Chuck Lorre, who turns and looks at the audience and says, "Winning," and then a piano falls on him.
What the hell?
That's the end of the show, everybody. Just kind of going, hey, we're a TV show and we're going to use these 40 minutes to make fun of someone we don't like. You guys watched us for 12 years.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm glad I didn't stick with that for 16 years, or whatever it was. Yeah.
All I can say is that that's what viewers get if they decide to be a regular watcher of 2.5 Men. That's the kind of finale you get. So that shit is on you.
Hey, what's with the fucking hating?
Did you hear Mike there? He was laughing. He really enjoyed that finish.
I'm going to watch that.
Now,
No doubt about it.
regarding your other news, Sean, Parks and Recreation is probably my favorite show of all time, and I haven't seen the finale yet, so I'm really looking forward to it. We will have to discuss it another time.
Why don't you spoil that ending as well?
I'm not going to spoil the ending of how everyone dies. I would never do that. But it's important to note that they did ask Charlie Sheen to be in the episode, and he refused, which makes sense when you read 40 pages of you being made fun of. Parks and Recreations ended. It did quite well in terms of ratings. As well as many people just going, that's perfect, great way to end the show. And interestingly, most articles are comparing the two shows and going, here's what you don't do, here's what you should do. So yeah, that was the week in terms of finales.
Did you see the Agent Carter season finale, by any chance?
I did indeed. I was very pleasantly surprised.
I haven't seen it, so spoilers, but,
I won't spoil anything,
yeah.
but they do have a credit sting, as many Marvel properties do.
Is that still good, that Agent Carter?
Yeah, I mean, so the past 3 episodes have been great. Like, it's only an 8-episode season. They had one episode where they went and actually, it could have been a show about, like, war. You know what I mean? It could have, because it's set in 1946, and they went and just did a mission that involved a lot of guns, a lot of shooting, and a lot of trying not to get killed. And then the episode after that was another great one where a lot of storylines came to a head, and it was a great finale. Really good mirroring of the Captain America movie, by the way. They did some really great stuff to not forget about anything and to use it in an important way, as opposed to just kind of going, here are some like references, here's some Easter eggs.
Sean, does the paint by numbers feminism get any better?
Well, me and you have never really discussed the paint by numbers feminism. I guess the way I see it is Peggy Carter's character doesn't change, and that's on purpose. Like, it's about her trying to deal with the fact that Captain America's gone and he's never coming back, and that storyline is dealt with throughout. And everyone else around her has to deal with her being a woman trying to do her job well. So all of the other characters have these moments, like whether it's up or down, and often both, about how they deal with that idea. So I don't know. I don't know if it gets better, but I certainly enjoyed it, and they brought a lot more women characters into the show as well. So I don't know. I appreciate it.
It gets better in, but only because she's proving herself. You know, that kind of way.
Yeah. But do they stop with the really heavy, like, you're a woman, you can't do the job. Now you're doing the job.
It kind of gets a bit heavier,
Isn't
and then
she great?
And then she does a couple of things that they see because she's been sliding in behind them to do stuff, and it's more that she wins them over. Yeah. You know, enlightens them rather than anything, and she explains, this is what I've been doing behind your back, and they're all going, oh, aren't we all dumbasses, you clever woman?
To answer your question, Shona, it's still a show about a woman trying to be a spy in the 1940s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I don't know if if it would make sense for them to go, you know what, let's not worry about it. You're a woman, who gives a crap? We're fine. It's 1940. We're good. So it never goes that way either, but I would never expect them to.
Yeah, no, of course not. My issue was never really that they addressed it. I guess I'd question how they addressed it. But, you know, I'll watch more of the show so that we can move on to our reviews tonight and we can talk about Peggy Carter when I'm better informed.
Just one last piece of news. Yep. I don't know if you heard Eddie Ray Ruth, the guy who killed Chris Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got life in prison today.
I saw that, yeah.
So that's, I suppose that would have been a better end to the movie, wouldn't it?
Well,
sorry.
That was for, he shot 2 people that day.
Yeah, there was 2 guys.
Yeah. That he was claiming he was paranoid schizophrenic or something, like that, or was it something similar?
Something like that, yeah. But some of the details of the trial are starting to come out now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, apparently he had waited till Chris Kyle was reloading before ambushing.
Okay.
So I'm sure more stuff.
So it wasn't just a flip out?
No, it seems there was an element of premeditation.
I see.
No parole.
Okay, let's move on to the first of our movies, which is Kingsman. Mike, tell us about Kingsman.
Kingsman is the story of a British alternate intelligence organization that operates outside government control, with some very posh operatives who are really, really good at stuff. Colin Firth plays the lead, ably helped by Mark Strong. They basically have to go and save the world pretty regularly. Unfortunately, you know, every now and then Kingsmen get killed and they need to be replaced. So you probably need to have a little competition to see who's going to be the next Kingsman.
Yeah.
And are they going to be any good? That's basically what it's about.
Okay. So what do we think? Bit of a throwback to the good bits of Bond.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, did you say the good bits of Bond?
The good bits of Bond, yeah. The gadgets. You see, and it's fun. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, it's more fun than like the Bond has gone very serious and very almost cold and calculated. He's lost his sort of fun side, I think, in the last few movies. But no, that's what I liked about this was it took the fun bit and amped it up a bit. Now, granted, it's very, very violent as well, but unexpectedly so. It was actually surprising. But there's one particular scene in which there's a lot of violence, but it's so surprising and unexpected that I was actually laughing at it because it was so ridiculous. What did you think, Mike?
I have to say, I loved the shit out of this movie.
Did you really?
I fucking loved this movie. Yeah.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
I was sitting in the cinema and there was time.
Wait, I haven't had a chance to be the one that says this yet. Mike, I don't know what movie you were watching, but it is not the same movie I watched.
There was times I wanted to stand up and applaud at the screen, yeah. Which I could have done because there was nobody else in the cinema. Yeah, I particularly liked the way they handled the action sequences. They have a kind of almost a 28 days later shaky cam, speeded up kind of thing, and then they slow it right down into like a stylistic Asian thing for the cool bits at the end.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. Yeah, they did.
I thought it was really well handled. And Colin Firth, I know Shona has she's on record for having a real problem with Colin Firth.
That was the best bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, and especially Colin Firth in suits.
Yeah.
So this is a very suit-based movie.
It's true, yeah. It's my sweet spot.
Yeah. But I have to admit, Colin Firth, I got a bit of a man crush going on there. He was so cool in this movie. One problem I did have with it is the Phantom Menace issue, where your mentor figure is far cooler than your main hero, like Qui-Gon Jinn versus Ewan McGregor's character. So Colin Firth was so good, he kind of overpowered. What was it? Alexei Nikolov is the younger lad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taron Egerton.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
Which name are we using?
Are you talking about Eggsy?
Yeah, Eggsy.
Yeah, his character's name is Gary Eggsy Unwin. His name is Taron Egerton.
Okay. It's, I thought IMDb had him as Alex Nikolov, but what do I know? Or what do they know?
None of us know anything. What's the point of anything?
Yeah. But, I mean, he did well, but it was just difficult for him in the shadow of such a great character. Although I did find it quite humorous that they made him more and more like Colin Firth as the movie wound on.
He played quite a good Colin Firth.
Yeah, he did.
Did he pass your test, Shona? When he was dressed as Colin Firth?
Don't even open the Pandora's box yet. I need more time than just a quick answer to that question.
All right, I see. There's a whole new podcast in that.
Tune in for our special this week where Shona goes on a diatribe for 2 hours about this film.
Sorry, would anybody else like to speak?
I think Shona wants to.
Okay, I'll condense my opinions from 2 hours into maybe like 5 minutes.
Right.
I didn't love this film. I didn't think it was all that good. I think that the tone was all over the place. I think at some points it kind of seems like almost like a Disney-esque, spy, caper that looks like it was going to be fun.
And you know what, Mike just said that he loved it.
That's true.
Got him, caper.
Yeah. This is not a true caper. There aren't enough actors in it.
Caper.
There's not enough actors in it to be a caper.
It's a caper.
It's a caper, Mike.
No, fuck you guys.
All those henchmen. Think of it. Yeah.
So,
It's a caper.
Yeah.
I think its tone at times wanted to be a bit, Nickelodeon at times, with the rule that, the character that Eggsy, who is this kind of young, kind of street smart, tough, London teenager, guy brings to the flavor to the film, with the very posh Colin Firth in his suits trying to teach him about how to be a spy, for the Kingsman, where their motto is, manners maketh the man, which is a theme that they mention and then kind of drop. It doesn't really go anywhere. There's a lot of very confusing, themes in the movie about teamwork and then other tests that seem to imply that teamwork is in fact not important. In terms of the violence, Steve, that you were mentioning, I think there were some violent scenes, but it just seems to be very contradictory to the tone of some other scenes where
it was.
They could have gone further, or the dialogue, or even how a scene was directed.
That's exactly why I was so surprised.
Yeah.
Because I thought this was going to be like a Saturday matinee type thing, and then I was like, oh, wow. All right.
Yeah, and I don't think it was a benefit that it was a surprising violent scene, or, you know, I just think it kind of goes, I think it shows the symptoms of a film that seems like it's kind of all over the place. Colin Firth in suits, we know, is a favorite pastime of mine, and even his suit wearing in this film could have been better. I'm used to seeing him in like impeccably tailored Tom Ford, and these were kind of like slightly boxy. The glasses that they all have to wear are a bit like 1980s. He's had better hair days, so although I am still a devoted Colin Firth fan, I've seen him look better, even though this is a film devoted to Colin Firth wearing suits.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I was just going to say, we've all seen your Pinterest page. Yeah.
And then there's also kind of themes about, you know, classism in the film, about, you know, the street kid versus the posh kid, and which life is better. And Colin Firth has a lot to say about that. That sounds like very egalitarian, but as you mentioned, the street kid starts turning into Colin Firth, so clearly, you know, his socioeconomic status means that he isn't good enough. Yeah, so I was really disappointed in the film. I think a lot of elements, the script, some of the scene direction, and the tone of the film make it very mediocre.
I disagree completely. So, this movie's great. Here's why this movie's great. Here's the millions of reasons why. So, first of all, I felt like it had an incredibly clear through line throughout. Like, the idea was, and it referenced so many other movies and that let us know, oh, this is what it should be, and then, oh wait, why is it different in these ways?
Yeah.
At one point, Eggsy references My Fair Lady as what Colin Firth is going to do to him. He's going to, the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. Like, we're ready. We know that it's going to happen. And then it's like, well, no, like, he's pretty much like going by himself while Colin Firth is trying to figure out this stuff. Is he ever going to get to the point where he speaks like a grown-up and a gentleman? Wouldn't it be great if that appeared somewhere in the third act of the film? I agree. Yes, it was. I was a really big fan of how they used Samuel L. Jackson's character, who at times I wasn't sure if he was like doing a Mike Tyson impression or if it was just a generic lisp. But I absolutely loved him as a villain. It was like his whole thing of he's going to be the smartest guy in the fucking movie. Everyone's going to be on his side, including Obama and like members of parliament and yada yada yada. He's going to go, here's what you should do, and everyone's going to believe him. Great. And then he hates blood. Like, that coming from anyone else, it could have been a wet fart of a joke. It could have been like a terrible, like, it's kind of funny. Are you really going to make that a thing throughout the whole movie? Amazing. Hilarious. The theater I was in, people were pissing themselves throughout this movie. It was vulgar in all the right places. It was cheeky so many times with humor that, yes, could have been in a Nickelodeon thing. And they were like, you know what's going to be right next to this? We're going to say something hideously vulgar, or we're going to jab something sharp in someone's dick or eye. It was weird. It was like a really weird movie. It was going, do you know how Oddjob throwing his hat is like a weird thing? That's kind of weird. Fuck that. Pistorius legs. Give a lady some Pistorius legs and she's going to kick the shit out of people with her slicey feet. That's going to be cool. Like, it was good. It was really fucking cool. The action scenes were amazing. There's one action sequence, right, where it's set up perfectly. There's an action sequence that is my favorite of the year. The way that they set it up is, and this movie does it very well throughout, they want certain people in the movie, we want them to be hurt. And they do that in a second with certain minor characters, or they do that over a long period of time with other characters, right? And then they unleash this incredible torrent of cinematic violence while having two other characters watch the violence on a screen, so that when everyone in the audience is going, ugh, or going, yeah, it goes to them going, holy shit, like, what the hell is happening? It was genius. It reached out and just grabbed the audience so many times, like tickled their ghoulie bag and just sent them on their way. It was great. And I don't know how to describe that. At certain points it would shift tone, but I don't think that was out of character with the pacing of the film and with the characters that were doing all these like tone shifts. And I think that the message that they had, they weren't trying to force down people's throats more than a little bit. Like, it was like, all right, you can be as good as anybody here, Eggsy. Prove it. And then he did. I think it was a really simple story, told really interestingly and well.
How did you manage your suspension of disbelief, though, that this highly dangerous position that requires, I assume, a lot of training would take a guy off the street because they owe a debt?
You didn't
Here's
listen
how
very
I-
carefully. He was a half-trained Marine.
Okay,
Remember?
but like clearly
With top
Mike,
marks
Mike.
while he was during training.
Yeah.
Mike, that's a great, reasonable explanation that the screenwriters will thank you for noticing. Here's how I manage suspension of disbelief. They have shoes that have knives in them when you click your heels together. That's how you manage your suspension of disbelief in this movie. They make a reference that they used to put phones in their shoes. Like, they're just like, remember Get Smart? We all like that. This is a bit like that, isn't it? But it's a bit more violent and it's a bit crude. Do you like it? I like it. Let's keep going. Like, that's what it's doing with every scene where it references Bond or whatever. Clive Owen, Colin Firth, sorry, different British guy, slightly more attractive. He's able to do jokes and action better than I ever thought he could.
You know, I'll agree with you there. I think that Colin Firth in action, I'd like to see more of that. He did it. He did it well. What? What?
I'd like to see his action a little bit more.
Are you going to slice together in the opener me saying that and me saying it's huge in reference to the China viewership ratings? I can hear it now.
The internet is forever, Shona.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty good at that too, and I'd like to
Would
see
you like
more
to see
action sequences too, but for different reasons. I also thought Samuel L. Jackson was great. I thought
Michael Caine.
Michael
Caine.
Caine, thank you. Yeah, I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
Played the part well.
Did you notice Luke Skywalker in there?
I didn't.
Yep.
Mark
Mark
Hamill's in
Hamill.
there?
Hamill is in there, yeah.
Whereabouts?
Beginning
He's the
of movie.
professor at the beginning.
Oh, so he is.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah. God, I didn't recognize him.
There you go.
And I thought Eggsy did a great job, and Roxy, she did a great job. Like I said earlier, I love the whole Bond element to it, and I do like that they referenced it as well. Where this is the part where, you know, I explain my plan to you, and so on and so forth. And I did like the other movie references as well. I agree totally with Shona on other points, but I think the fun caperness of it won me over, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah.
Also need to point out the score was brilliantly thought out, especially for the scene that Sean was talking about. I thought that was the perfect tune to accompany the mayhem. And there were several other points where the music was very well chosen. Also, when you're talking about various actors, actresses, the Swedish princess as a minor character, I thought was fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Audience gave a big laugh to that where I was.
Yeah. So all round, I don't have enough good to say about this.
Wow.
You know, I have seen so many shit movies in the last few months, courtesy of you bastards.
This was a palate cleanser, was it?
Yeah. I was sloshing it all around.
I do have to say, and I'm going to use Sean's term here because it's my favorite new term, slicey feet was a great addition to the film.
Oh yeah.
Like having a Blade Runner, that's pretty cool to have on the villain side. That was something new I hadn't seen before, and I thought it was a really cool effect.
When she damages his clothes.
Oh yeah.
The look of horror on his face.
Disgust. Yeah.
Dare you.
Yeah. Dare you. Okay, so do you want to mark this?
Let's do it.
So, Sean, you go first.
I haven't seen a better action movie in a long time. And what it wants to do, it does perfectly, which I guess is kind of the way that I try and rate movies. Oh wow, I talked myself into it. I'm going to give this movie an 8.
Wow.
Yeah? It does everything it wants to do perfectly. It's like the Edge of Tomorrow of this year for me so far.
Wow.
The Edge of Tomorrow of this year. Mike.
Yep, best movie I've seen in ages. Enjoyed the hell out of it. I'll give it a hearty 8.
Wow. Shona.
My mind is being blown. I liked some of the performances between Firth. I thought the interaction with him and Eggsy was good. There were some other interesting elements, but not enough for me to be a film that I could watch with much enjoyment, because I kept getting pulled out of the film and being distracted by various confusing elements, so I'm giving it a 6.
Yeah, you wore an awful lot of different suits. I can see why you're confused already. I am going to give this an 8 as well.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
I can't believe
why?
I'm the curmudgeonly bitter one. Mike, what's happening to me?
No,
Movie was
listen.
made for you.
Look, totally understand why you give it a 6. It's a boy movie. It's a boy caper.
Well, see,
is a
this is
boy
the kind of stuff I'd normally like, but it's just, I don't know. I just didn't really get the elements that you guys liked.
It's a boy movie with girl candy.
That's true. Yeah.
It also has. I really like the girl character they have in it. That goes through training with Eggsy. I actually quite liked her.
Yeah.
She was used quite well, and it's one of those really simple things where they go pick one thing and let that character just work that as their storyline for the X, Y, and Z they need to do. I thought they achieved that quite well.
Mm-hmm. And very noticeable, she didn't have to get rescued at any point.
No. She was ostensibly one of the best of the recruits.
Yeah.
She was the best of the best of the best of the best.
Yeah, fair play to her.
Okay.
Oh, just a quick thing I have to mention before we move on. You guys will all remember a few episodes ago. Well, how about we could just probably put it in when Mark said this.
If this film wins the Oscar, I'll willingly watch it again in its entirety.
Wow. And you'll pay attention, like.
Brave words indeed, Mark.
It's not going to win anything.
So guess what won Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars?
I saw that, actually. Do you know what? My 2 least favourite films in the last 28 months, random number of months, both won honours at the Oscars. Like, what the hell? Birdman and Ida. Oh, my sweet divine.
Well, what I think happened was the universe really wants you to watch Ida again. That's the first thing that came to my mind. And the second is that Birdman.
Oh, no, I said I was going to do that.
Yeah. Remember? You said if it won, you would watch it again. The audience just heard it.
This calls for a lot of masturbation. Only thing that's going to get me through it.
If you manage to masturbate during
I'll have
Ida,
to look at like a corner
you get your
of
own
the
prize.
Because, like, if I look directly at the nuns or the black and whiteness or the subtitles, I completely lose my erection.
I have to say,
I don't know what film the Oscar deciders were watching. It's definitely neither of the films that I saw.
Sean, you're a cruel, cruel man.
I have to say, I thought Leviathan was horribly robbed.
Yeah.
I thought it was way better than Ida.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was hardly robbed of an English language track.
That might be coming to a
international
screen
category.
near you soon, actually. I believe there's an English remake in the works. Mm-hmm. Another remake, yeah. Next up, let's go to the first of our TV, which was TheSlap. Sean.
TheSlap is a TV show about, well, a bunch of people who are both family and friends, many of whom have children. And there is a party held, a birthday party for Hector is held, who is one of the sons in a Greek family, many of whom are well-to-do. And one of the kids starts acting up, and somebody else's parent deals with them. And it's called TheSlap. So, start guessing. Each episode is titled after the character whose perspective it follows. So the first episode, the pilot, was called Hector.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
So it'll retell the same story, but from different perspectives. It doesn't move on.
I suspect there'll be a bit of moving on.
Well, yeah, I mean, there will
really?
be. But, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what happens in the book, and the TV show seems to be following that format.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which
You read the book, Sean?
have you read the book, Shona?
Yes, I did read the book. I read it a year or two ago when it came out, and it was a big deal.
So, who have we in this? We've Uma Thurman.
Mm-hmm.
We have Sean's mate, Mr. Quinto.
Zachary Quinto.
Oh, yeah.
Who's playing Hector? What's his name?
Peter Sarsgaard.
Yes, thank you.
Peter Sarsgaard, wasn't it?
And his wife.
Brian Cox is in there too.
Sandy Newton, wasn't
Sandy
it?
Newton, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And you also had a member of the newsroom cast as well.
So what do we think? Mark, tell us.
There's a funny one, Steve. not a funny show. It's pretty devoid of any humor of any kind. But I immediately disliked it. I disliked it vehemently, and for the same reason that when you're talking to someone or having a debate with somebody and they're annoying you because you know they're right, it really gets under your skin. And I was looking at the various different characters and I was going, damn you all, but I see bits of me in each of you. And that typically to me is good characterization when they're all resonating with you on some level or other. But the problem was I didn't like any of the things about me that they were showing me. So after about 20 odd minutes in, I was a bit uncomfortable. And then I paused and said, right, look, hang on, right? It's just a TV show, right? And you're a long way from 40, relatively speaking. So, and then I put it back on and tried to watch it just from the plot. And then I kind of realized that I had no interest in anything that was happening on screen. The interesting thing for me in this show was just the characters and their interplay. There's no action as such. It's probably the most humdrum setting and events you could put up on the screen. Doesn't mean it's bad, right? Or that it doesn't keep you watching. It's just the opposite of what I like to watch on TV. But it's not bad. It's 100,000,000% not for me. If Melissa George wasn't in it, I probably wouldn't have got to the end, I don't think. But she's not in enough stuff. In fact, she's never been in enough stuff. Not since she was Angel on Home and Away.
What else did I mean to say to you? I'm surprised that you didn't like this, even just for the fact that all the cast are fantastic looking. That's something that would be right up your street.
That's probably what got me to the end of it, to be fair.
Yeah.
But there was no, like, we've talked about before how I'm completely shallow, like, and I just want escapism when I watch TV.
Yeah.
Like, there was nowhere to escape to in this program. The only thing you could escape to was worse versions of your own life. And who does that?
John?
Well, what's really interesting about the show is something that Mark was already commenting on. I don't even know if this show is built for you to watch it by yourself and enjoy. I think this show is built so that you watch it and a bunch of other people do as well, and then you go argue about who is correct.
Yeah.
Like, completely. The whole thing is someone goes, definitely hit that fucking kid. I don't give a shit whose kid he is. Hit the shit out of him. And maybe because we, or at least a lot of us, being Europeans who were raised by people from another generation who had no problem doling out a few schlaps every now and then, or wooden spoons, etc. Maybe we already have our leanings out there. I don't know. But I think for America, I think it would be particularly divisive for an American audience. And what's cool is that one scene is really charged, because once it happens, everything else could go fucking wonky. And if this wasn't a realistic show, fucking anything could have happened. Like, it literally could have been a case that we would have seen a fist fight, a bunch of people, like, whatever, you know? So that was interesting to me. However, the format that it has is not built for a pilot. The format that it has is built to watch 3 episodes or so, and then you go, alright, hold on, this makes perfect fucking sense. Also, the format is built so that if there's an episode you don't like, you just go, sure, I wasn't interested in their episode anyway. I want to see this one or this one, which kinda is working on me, because I want to see Zachary Quinto's episode so much. He's playing a character I've never seen him play before. He's buff as shit. Like, he is toned, he is trim, and he's just a fucking asshole. Like, I would not have his opinions in almost any way, except I still am kind of like, he's a prick, but I get it. Like, I completely get the reasons he makes his decisions, and even the way he argues is like, that's exactly where my friends argue. Like, they just say shit that they think is unassailably true, and then wait to be proven wrong, rather than actually just like talking about shit to try and find a solution. It was interesting. So I don't know. The actual central plot of this episode revolves around a potential affair that Hector is considering having on the eve of his 40th birthday. And that's a bit trite. You know, like what we expect from that's basically another case of Chekhov's vagina, right? That's a case of, is there going to be sex and kisses? Well, it's a TV show, and they've just gone, hey, I wonder if there's going to be sex and kisses. The way they handle that, in that respect, is somewhat original. So I did appreciate that. I just wanted them immediately to zip to other people that I gave more of a shit about, which is tough. But in the end, I found it believable. I kind of liked it, but I definitely wasn't like enthralled throughout. But maybe more importantly for this kind of a show, I believed it.
You won't have to wait too long because I think Harry's episode is either the next one or the one after. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that particular aspect probably went over your head because you're the wrong age, Sean. If you were...
What aspect?
The babysitter aspect.
Ageism.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because you're not old enough to have a kid that needs babysitting by an attractive female that's 20 years younger than you. and all the...
Thin ice, Mike.
What's the word?
Thin ice.
All the interesting thoughts that might come about as a result of such a situation.
Sean, quickly save us.
Whereas what I would argue is that I'm the babysitter.
Yeah.
Like, that's the age group that I would identify with. And there's no characters like that in this show except for one. But I'm not really enthralled by the prospect of an episode about a girl who kind of wants to ruin someone's marriage a little bit with a guy who's fairly attractive.
But,
Like,
I mean, that said, you're way too hairy to be a babysitter.
It's the weirdest line.
Shona, did you see this?
I don't know where Mike comes up with this shit. I swear to God. You need to stop drinking during podcasts, Mike. Yeah, I saw this. Like I was saying, I read the book a few years ago, so I was interested to see how they were going to turn it into a TV show. I think, Sean, your point about it not really suiting the pilot format is dead on, and I think kind of extrapolated to a larger context, I wonder if the book is suitable for TV. Obviously it centers around a guy slapping a kid who's not his own at a public party. And, that's obviously a very kind of visual element, but I think in what the book kind of focuses on is each character's kind of internal emotional state that they are in when they get to the party, and then kind of the ramifications of the slap on their own relationships and kind of what their mindset is about the slap. Like you were saying, Sean, and Mark, it's definitely meant to kind of divide you into like whose side are you on. And I think it does a good job of stirring up those emotions because you're maybe identifying with some characters over others, and so like you're almost joining the fight as you watch emotionally. You're like, yeah, you're right, you tell that other person, and that other person you're like, you shut up, you don't even know what you're saying. So I think you kind of get drawn into the fight, and I suppose that's the pull of the TV show. But I think what made the book enjoyable for me is that you're kind of getting to see more under the skin of these characters and kind of like what their mindset was the day and kind of what the slap does to them and what their thoughts are on it. So I liked it as a book. I thought that the episode was okay. I think that they tried to make kind of the literary references by having the voiceover for Hector that you hear. To me, it seemed very obviously taken from a book, and it seemed a bit out of place.
Today was a day like no other.
Well, especially
Victor Garber.
Especially since the movie is supposed to be kind of getting under the skin of the characters and showing that episode from their perspective. It kind of takes you outside of that once you have voiceover work by, talking in third person about these people.
The expression under the skin has actually been banned from this podcast. Not sure if you're aware.
I'm sorry, Mark. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right.
It's all right.
Can I say you get under the hood?
No.
Now I'm just afraid of making sexual references without meaning to. As is my
Don't be
forte.
afraid, Shona. It's going to happen at some stage or another.
Story of my life. So I just don't know if the book is going to translate as well to television. I thought the episode was okay, but it didn't leave me kind of as hooked as I was in the book to find out, I suppose, if there was going to be a consensus about whether or not the slap was right or wrong.
If they do translate it, I'm not watching it again.
Mike.
Bad enough in English.
This is a strange one, because as I sat there watching it, I wasn't enjoying
That's
it.
what I said.
Yeah. I didn't enjoy it while I was watching it, and I kept thinking there's an awful lot of build-up for this, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting for, the event that defines the series.
It's called TheSlap. You can do it. It's not spoiling anything.
Damn it! What?
Was it anything called slaps? But then once the dam had busted, and then I saw everybody's reactions, I was thinking, oh, okay, I want to see more of this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see what happened from somebody else's point of view. That'd be cool if we just had the same story over and over
8
again.
times. Yeah. So I take it there's only going to be one season of this anyway.
I would assume so. Yeah. Unless they have like another season where they slap twins or something. Or
Called Backhand.
That was a textbook joke. That was really good.
So yeah, I did like it. Strange, even though I didn't enjoy watching it, I did like it.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, totally. I'm with you on that because I've never squirmed so much, watching something. Because, and like Sean will tell us, this is because I was in with the characters. They caught me, and I was really caught up in the story. So, and initially I was just like, oh, this doesn't look great as well. But then found myself going, oh God, don't do that. And then the various things that happened during it. It happened loads of times actually. But I enjoyed it. The event itself is fantastically built up to, I thought, because I was nearly in there behind him.
You're a pig, Steve. You're a fucking pig. I really want to see more of this. I do want to see more perspectives. I really do want to see Harry's perspective. I think that'd be great. And is it Anouk, Uma Thurman's character? Anouk? It's definitely not a
I can't
bicycle.
remember.
Yeah. I want to see hers as well, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot more going on in the other rooms, that we've missed.
There was an awful lot of random kids that could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
And
True.
they will all have stories.
Or anyone's.
So I guess the 8 characters, so I guess that's all the adults apart from the guy with the camera, who's not really an adult, I guess. Yeah. So, so I'm going to give this trailer. Yeah, I'll watch more.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I'm going to have to watch more of this. So thereby it's a thriller.
Yeah. Shona?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a thriller because I want to see kind of what they do in the next episodes, if my feelings about the translation from book to screen work or not. But I like the book, so I'll watch the next episode.
Mark?
I wouldn't watch this unless I happened to lose a bet of some kind on what was going to win Best International Film. This is filler for me, Steve. It's not why I turn on the TV.
Okay.
And I wouldn't go looking for it.
Sean?
It's not bad, mind.
Sorry.
It's good TV, but not for me.
Sean?
I definitely want to see another episode with a more active character, hopefully Zachary Quinto, so I think I'm going to be watching at least one more. And I think it is a good show. It's not a great show. I think it's a good show. So yeah, that's a thriller from me.
Okay. Next up, we've got the second of our movies, which is Point and Shoot. Point and Shoot tells the story of Matthew Van Dyke, a timid 27-year-old with OCD who leaves his mother's house in Baltimore and sets off on a self-described crash course in manhood through the Middle East. So after 35,000 miles of travelling through Africa, Europe and the Middle East on a motorbike, he meets and befriends what he describes as a Libyan hippie. Who becomes his best friend, and they do a bit of travelling together and so on. He goes back to the States, and then the uprising kicks off against Gaddafi. So he decides one day, right, I'm going, and flies that very day. See ya, mom, see ya, girlfriend. And so he grabs a gun and joins his friend with the rebels and keeps on filming. All of this is in the trailer, as is the next bit, which tells us that he is captured by the opposition forces, Gaddafi's forces, and imprisoned for 5.5 months. And that's where the trailer leaves us. So, yeah, I'll go straight into a review of it, I guess. I found it to be a fantastic adventure story. It's kind of sad that it doesn't tell us more about what happened next, You know, it's a great adventure story. It's like The Long Way Around. It's like The Motorcycle Diaries. It's your man's a little bit delusional, more than a little bit delusional. I mean, initially it's just he's going traveling, and he flies to Spain on his motorbike, and he goes down to Morocco and back up to Europe and across to Italy, and then down onto Libya, Tunisia, Egypt, up to Afghanistan, and Iran, and so on. A fantastic journey, in which he has many great experiences, but he doesn't seem to mix with people that much because he is by nature a bit of a loner. But he does film a lot, and he has a helmet cam in which he films everything, and he sets up shots, and it could take him half an hour to get a shot. But anyway, so he gets more and more adventurous as this goes on. But so back to the Libya thing. My problem with it were they left us, so they leave us at the end of the movie where, as we all know in the news, that Gaddafi is overthrown and so on. But it's sort of like we're left with now. Fixed it.
All done.
Yeah, all done. All off home, right? Which, unfortunately, is not the...
Smoke me a kipper, I'll be back for breakfast.
Exactly, What they don't mention is that, all the rebels were only fighting against a common cause because they hated him so much. And they've had 5 governments since 2011. They currently have 2 governments, which is one which were elected in the previous election, and one... which lost in the last election but refused to give up. So there's like 1,700 different factions of militia who are not only divided by religion and ideology, but also by regional and local lines. So there's killings going on over there. But one last comment on that is that I guess after 40 years of dictatorship, that I guess it's not too easy to go back to a democracy straight away. So anyway, no, I just think it's a pity that they didn't show more of that at the end of it, having shown the conflict, let's say,
So I have a bit of a suspicion, Steve.
Yeah.
About you.
Yeah.
And your comments in the past couple of minutes are leading me to believe that I am in fact correct. You're trying to educate me, sir. And I object strenuously. So in terms of this is the problem we have whenever we review a documentary, right? Are we reviewing whether it's a good documentary, or are we reviewing what was documented?
Absolutely.
I think you've done the latter, so I'll tackle the former. Yeah. They joined the dots quite a bit because there was a lot of missing footage. Also, there was a lot of narrative, which allowed them to tell whatever story they wanted, because they had him telling his story, and they threw in footage where it suited, and just had shots of him talking where they didn't have any footage, right? So, in terms of the great documentaries we've watched, like Senna, which to me is going to be the consummate documentary example.
Agreed, yeah.
This was not that. It was quite a long way from it. That isn't to say that it wasn't a bad film, because I put it on Sunday when I was recovering from a really, really late wrap party from the show. And I moved the remote control 3 inches away from where I could reach, which meant that it was going to be a major effort if I wanted to stop watching it. And after 5 minutes, I just kind of looked at Michelle and I went, man, this is terrible stuff. This has to be Steve to put this on the list. or Mike, maybe, but one of them for sure. And but then after kind of 10 or 15 minutes, you don't notice the fact that you're just talking to a guy who in a social scenario you would avoid. And you start listening to a story. Because, idiots sometimes make good TV because they do idiotic things. And this guy really did idiotic things. Like, if anyone deserved to be riddled with bullets, it's this fella. He showed some classic bad decision-making stuff. But, okay, so I've done what I tried not to do. I've gone into talking about the content now. So it's an enjoyable documentary. It pulls you along because you really want to see how he managed to survive what he's putting himself through. He obviously survived because he's the one talking to you throughout the story, right? So it's interesting from that. And he is an unlikely hero, right? So the things that are interesting is something extraordinary happening to someone, or I think that's what we have in this instance. I far prefer ordinary things happen to extraordinary people, like superheroes, but you can't have it everywhere.
I believe there's 1,700 hours of footage that he handed over to the filmmaker in this instance.
Wow.
Yeah, it struck me as kind of odd that out of all that, they only got, an hour and 20 maybe out of it?
Well, I'm sure our friend Sean will be able to tell us about 8 hours of footage getting down to, what was it, 1 minute, Sean?
1 minute 30. Listen, every time you're shooting stuff, you're just going, maybe we'll use this at some point. Maybe, I don't fucking know. Maybe it'll fit. Maybe they re-edited the movie 6 fucking times. Maybe there was 3 versions that were 2 hours long. One might have been a fucking love story. All I know is 1,700 hours of footage. Having to watch that much stuff takes 1,700 hours. Having to film that stuff takes 1,700 hours. So already we know how much work they put in there. Now imagine having to watch all of it, I don't know, at least twice. It's crazy. Who would do that? Why would you do that? Editors. They're crazy people who get paid money. And you know what? Shame on you if you skipped the speech for the people who won the editing award at the Oscars. Because I bet that it was really, really concise.
Mike, did you say this?
I did indeed.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, I didn't believe this was true.
Oh.
I thought this was some makey-uppy bullshit.
Mm.
I was thinking, this couldn't possibly have happened.
Yeah.
And especially, like, at one point, he just motorbikes into Iraq while the war is on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, meets up with the US troops. I forgot about that bit. Yeah.
And, I actually had a friend who was driving tour buses around the Middle East at around that period. Mm-hmm. And some of his adventurous people on his tour bus decided they wanted to go into Iraq. And they got to the border. I think they were going in from Jordan or something. And there were American soldiers on the border post. And they said, "Are you fucking insane? Get the fuck out of here." So I was wondering, when he showed up at the border post on his motorbike with his camera, did he not get a similar reaction?
They probably went, "Oh, you are insane. Okay, go ahead."
Yeah. Insane to the left.
But he actually looked like he was from the Middle East there for a while.
He did. Yeah. He got very swarthy looking. And I thought the Afghan kind of suited him.
It did actually. Yeah.
Could I ask just a quick question on that, Mike? At any point, because I watched the trailer only, I didn't get to see the movie, but at one point, someone tells him he is Libyan now. At any point, did it feel kind of strange, or did it seem like almost tourism in a culture, where it seemed like he was going, yeah, class, I get to do all these things, but I'm the American guy who can go home?
Do you know, I think that actually came across well. You did get the feeling that he was actually friends with these people. Yeah. And over time was accepted. Especially once he did his prison time, that gave him serious street cred. You're down now.
Oh yeah.
I suppose that's a pretty tough way to earn street cred, but he did it. The guy himself, I don't think ever really came across as normal. It was like a Walter Mitty figure that just actually went out and did it instead of thinking about it,
Yeah.
And possibly he got in over his head.
So, do you think during his this crash course in manhood, he really got out of his depth? But that's what I thought that was going to happen. But he never seemed to. He seemed to be like, this is pretty much what I signed up for.
Yeah,
that's what it came across as. But
he was lucky as hell, like.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. I don't remember seeing him assaulting a compound, or there's no fighting in it. Let's say there's a load of guys with guns on camera, which is something that they do talk about, that they want to be seen with the big gun shooting to send home to the folks at home, kind of thing, which is the case for not only the American soldiers but also for the Libyans as well, the rebels.
Well, I suppose a large part of the Libyan conflict was NATO jets pounding the shit out of
well, later on,
positions,
but do you think at the same time, do you think that was the case for him as well? Like the one time we do see him in combat or semi in combat, he hands the camera at someone else to film him do it.
Yeah.
And he's not very good at it. But it's like a very long selfie, maybe.
Yeah. A very self-absorbed individual.
Yeah.
With a girlfriend that I did not understand.
Oh, well, that's the other thing. He's been away for how long?
I mean, he did 4 years on the road, and then he goes and joins a war.
Yeah.
And she waited.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
very unfamiliar relationship there.
Yeah, and you know, I kind of,
Mike,
sort of got it.
Are you saying that you don't understand women?
I think that's been clearly demonstrated over the past decades. But he gets out of prison, so he's literally got his get out of jail card.
Yeah,
and goes back to his patient girlfriend, who is obviously delighted to get him back, and then he fucks off again.
Yeah,
and she still waits.
Yeah, see, oh, actually, did he even go home that time?
No,
actually, yeah, that was after the journey. He went home and then he left. Yeah.
It was bizarre.
Yeah.
You know, once Mother Teresa's out of the way, she should probably be next in line for a fucking sainthood.
So what kind of mark would you give this?
It was a very interesting story, but Mark raises a valid point as to the quality of the documentary itself.
Yeah.
I thought it kind of wasted a lot of footage. There were potentially a lot of exciting points that were probably left on the cutting room floor, and a lot of not so exciting points that were left in.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that was due to your man's desire to get his own personality across, which is not necessarily the most interesting part of the potential documentary that could have come out of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't like it, I didn't not like it.
Yeah.
But as Mark said, I wouldn't classify it as a truly great documentary, but certainly worth seeing.
Mark?
I'll give it a 6.
6. I thought it was an amazing documentary for someone that hadn't planned on making a documentary. Just recording, recording what he was doing and so on.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, I thought they did a great job with what they had.
Mm-hmm.
But the story itself, more than a little bit self-indulgent, but it's not the full story. But at the same time, I enjoyed it. I thought the quality was good, and I didn't fall asleep, so I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mark?
Jeez, I think you're being very generous, Steve. Like whether they were planning on making a documentary or not, I tend to review the end product as what it's saying that it is. No, it's a 5 for me. It's just average. It's not terrible once you actually get past the guy that you're going to be listening to for the next hour and a half, and get interested in the story. Time does move along pretty quickly to the end, so it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not above average. It's a 5 for me.
Okay. Okay, last up, we're going to have some previews in Come to a Bicycle. Near you. Okay, so the first one was Welcome to Me. Mm-hmm. Shona, tell us about this.
Welcome to Me is a film starring Kirsten Wiig, directed by somebody who made this movie. You introed the film too quickly. I didn't have time to look it up. So the movie is about...
It's produced by Will Ferrell and a bunch of those guys.
Okay. So the movie's about a woman who has, I think it's borderline personality disorder, and she claims that she wins the lottery, even though we see in the trailer that the numbers don't match up. So the rest of the trailer seems to follow her around telling people that she is really rich. You know, she meets a guy and he's like, "Hi, I'm rich." And she's like, "Huh, so am I." And then she ends up pitching an idea to a TV studio saying, "I want to make a TV show." And they're like, "Oh, what do you want to make it? Like, you want to host it?" And she's like, "Yeah." Like, "What do you want to make it about? Like, you know, topical? No. Politics? No. What do you want to make it about?" And she's like, "Me." So then it shows her making her TV show, and she's like, "Hi, welcome to Me," which is where our film title comes from. And it looks like a pretty terrible TV show, but maybe awesome in its terribleness. She demands to kind of be brought out on a swan float. So I don't know if this is kind of like a depressing view of somebody who's got, a mood disorder that she needs more medical intervention. They talk in the trailer about her going off her meds. Or is this meant to be hilarious, which is what I suspect because it's Kristen Wiig and Will Ferrell's involved. There's a bunch of other people about a woman who has money and just wants to do whatever the hell she wants with it, even though it makes her look a bit crazy. So, yeah.
It's directed by Shira Pivin, who also did Anchorman.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this sounds like comedy veterans here, so I think we can expect it to be... I mean, I was laughing in the trailer.
I was laughing at it too.
Welcome to me.
Yeah, I didn't start out laughing at it, but as it went on,
Yeah.
you'd clue into her personality.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be good.
I think she'll do a good job of kind of playing the character of deadpanning the lines. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Can I? Sorry, guys. I was just wondering, Shona, are you sure that she got the numbers wrong? Are you sure she didn't just win the lottery?
Well, in the trailer,
Yeah.
it shows her holding the lottery ticket, and most of the numbers, like the first 6 of them, are what they call out, but then the last 2 numbers don't match up. And you can see, this is how the trailer opens, she clearly feels traumatized that she was robbed of winning this lottery. So she calls the lottery anyways, and they're like, if you've won, just simply say, I'm a winner. And then she just says, I'm a winner. And that's how the whole trailer kicks off. So from what I see in the trailer, yes, I'm sure that she doesn't win the lottery unless the movie has an explanation behind it.
Yeah, it's
Because I thought all the numbers were there. I just went along with them.
No, the last 2 weren't the same
I
as what were
noticed
called
that
out.
too. Yeah.
I thought they were just in the other order.
Oh, maybe.
We don't need to worry about it because we've clearly said enough that now that everyone's going to go watch the trailer and figure out whether or not she actually won the lottery.
Yeah, nicely worked there, Sean.
And I'm definitely going to put this on the list when it comes to May 1st when it comes out in the movie theaters.
Yeah. It premiered at TIFF last year, but it'll have a wider release in May this year, so we can look forward to seeing that later on.
Yeah,
May 1st. Yep.
I just sat there watching this trailer thinking, if I won the lottery, I'd probably do the same shit. So I think I'm going to really like this movie.
The future of TV is welcome to me.
Yeah.
Mark, did you get to see
The
this?
present of TV is pretty much welcome to me.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you get to see this, Mark?
I think you've covered it, Steve. It's a great potential to be complete rubbish or a bit of fun. Who knows?
Next one we saw was True Story, which is James Franco and
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. Was it Seth Rogen?
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill.
My bad.
Jonah Hill.
My bad. So I saw James Franco, and I
I
automatically
know, yeah.
went to that music video they made.
And Felicity Jones, is she in it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So this is based on an article written by Jonah Hill, who plays a true story, apparently.
That's the title Windy to Kill.
And he's like, what was it, the New York Times? And some guy picks up on this story, some psycho dude, and seems to stalk, harass. I'm not sure how far it goes. I don't know the actual real story, but looks interesting nonetheless from the trailer.
Well, doesn't it say that, like, a normal, sane, productive, employed man goes home, kills his wife and kids, and then when the police
I forgot that bit.
arrest him, it's like central to the
Yeah,
trailer.
I forgot that
Steve.
bit. Yeah.
When the police
Worst
arrest
trailer
him,
watcher ever.
when the police arrest him, the name that he gives is that of the journalist. Like he says that he says that his name is this journalist's name. So, police and journalists kind of go to the journalist and say, do you have any idea why he gave your name? So it kind of brings the two characters of James Franco, who is the man who killed his wife and kid, who's in prison, and Jonah Hill, who is playing the journalist, brings them together. And he's like, why did you say that you were me? And then it looks like the trailer is going to be like a whodunit. Why did the guy kill the guy? And what's Jonah Hill going to do about it?
What's Seth Rogen doing now?
Wait, did I say Seth Rogen again? Damn it.
No.
You're such a bitch, Steve.
Stop it. You guys, tonight, you're the worst.
Who else saw this?
Yeah, I saw it. Looks nice.
Okay, looks nice.
Yeah.
A lot of good
Yeah.
actors.
I actually think this is going to be a movie that, while probably having to take place a lot in one interrogation room, will be built around the premise of, do you believe this guy? Are you actually going to try and get him set free? Like many journalists will sometimes do. Like, journalists will take up these causes and try and use their abilities to sway public opinion. What I would like to see, and I know that I'm pitching, and it's a true fucking story, I'd like to see him have the guy get released and then spend 30 minutes running away from this fucking murderer that he's just helped release who now wants to wear his skin. Like, that'd be class.
Well, there is a creepy part in the trailer, isn't there, where James Franco, the prisoner, calls Felicity Jones, and
Hello,
he's just
Kathleen.
like, yeah, I feel like I know you because like, she's the wife or girlfriend or whatever of Jonah Hill.
Let's stay in touch.
Yeah, there's definitely like a wearing the skin type of vibe in that scene.
The last one we looked at is The Riot Club. John, did you see this?
Not only did I see this trailer, but while we were recording, and this is not a joke, while we were recording I received an email. And the email claims to be from The Riot Club.
No way.
And yes, indeed. So a bit of viral marketing, but the email literally reads, so the film The Riot Club is about a group of rich fucks in Oxford in a secret club who are going to do some bad shit. And in their email they go, who gave these bastards the right to make a movie about Oxford's best kept secret, The Riot Club? So they claim to have stolen a trailer from IFC and want to tell these Hollywood assholes to piss off. So give these slimy chaps a big middle finger, release the trailer, and we're gonna spread it round. The world will know the story of Lord Riot. So I'm really interested in this. I actually think it's going to be a lot of terrible people with some slightly less terrible people involved who will not be able to change this crushing wave of entitlement, brutality, classism, presumably sexism, because I'm pretty sure somebody's getting assaulted in the fucking trailer. And I think it's going to be about not a good man standing up to evil, but a kind of shitty guy standing up to pure evil. And I'm going to be really interested to see how that plays out. I really want to get this as soon as possible, stick it on the list, and we can all have a chat. Who knows, it might be like, what if Kingsman the Secret Service was real and terrible?
Looks like a remake of Skulls from quite a long time ago, except it was rich American kids in Yale, also doing horrible things, and one of them's not quite as horrible as the rest. But I kind of like that movie, so I'll probably be interested in seeing this one too.
This movie looks like it's a bunch of assholes, and I don't know if I want to watch that. Even the trailer, I just hate them. And I know that's kind of that's the premise. I get that. I mean, the end of the trailer, the words we see on screen are filthy, rich. What other words do we see?
Spoiled,
rotten. That's it.
It's a big aspect of debate in screenwriting. Do characters have to be likable? Because we've seen many examples of unlikable characters that are riveting and interesting. So do you think it's just a Shona thing, Shona, that it's just you don't like to see terrible people?
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't mean that it shouldn't be on screen. I think that, there's a lot to be said for film and television where we see a broad spectrum of characters that we like and dislike. My personal taste is that I don't really like to watch movies where I loathe the people in them. We've discussed it before. It's my asshole theorem. Not my asshole theorem, but just my theorem about assholes.
Just stop.
Mike has his own asshole theorem as well, but it's very different. It's purely mathematical.
Okay. I think that's it for this week.
I think
so. From Mike, Mark, Sean, Steve, and Shona, stay classy.